I almost didn't post this video for how rough it looks, but let's find out if it's worth fixing and absolutely beat Flex hammer drill. And the switch is pre-jammed. Oh, let's get that up. Oh. Stage 2 is supposed to be a lot faster. That didn't sound fast at all. So stage 1. Stage 2. Oh no. It's just grinding the gears. So let's go ahead and see if we can take this thing apart. The first thing to note is that it is all star tip. We're gonna try to fix it with that, and I don't know if we're gonna need to get into the more detailed stuff or not. And see if we can get this thing undone. This is gonna be a good how-to video, but I'm gonna document all of these steps. It's gonna be a long form, almost uncut, unless I have some really stupid thing that I say that I need to cut out. If it's wobbly, I apologize. Everything I do in here is wobbly. See if I can get this undone that way. That'd be a little bit better. It's hard to do while looking through the camera, to be honest. But I find this, when I watch videos online that are like how-to videos and they don't show from this perspective, it makes me really frustrated because this is kind of the perspective that I, as the person who's doing the project, I'm seeing. So that's going to be the value for me later, knowing how to do this. That vibrating is just me. I'm pushing pretty hard on that one because there's a lot of grime in the screw itself. Okay. All right, let's see what we have. All right, so I'm just pulling on that to loosen it up, see if there's any other screws. I don't think there are. But let's see here. Stuck on something. So forward, I can pull it out, but now we're still holding on to that. So let's see here. How does that hook in? How does that hook in? Can't be terribly complicated. Okay, I'm just giving it a little bit of twist as the button seems to be just pressed on there at the top. Okay, so I'm just gonna peel this out, hoping that's okay. Doesn't seem like there's any plastic. Yeah, so there's no clip or anything in there that's holding that in place. Gosh, look at all that dirt. Shoot. All right, well, I'm gonna try something. This might be a bad idea. Okay, let's see here. Ooh. Might not be a good idea to do that. Hang on. Just hold the hold the gear from popping out. That's what it is. It's dirty. That's not the problem. Okay. Just making sure it worked because these have been in cold for a while now. And how to hold this up right. It's pretty heavy duty. So not something I usually do. So obviously making a video makes me motivated to try to fix it, but I feel really stupid if I can't get this apart and I somehow, just from greasing it like this, fix it. But to be fair, I don't actually care what fixes it, just so long as it does get fixed. I'm looking at it right now, and the gears on the inside actually look pretty clean. I mean, there might be a little bit of grime in there, but it doesn't look like it. And my guess is that the clutching mechanism, the thing that shifted the gearing in and out, was somehow bound up because it's so grimy. And so that would put it on just the switch being the issue. Maybe this like bar somehow shifts this thing in and out in a way that I don't know. Let's see here. So the bar going forward and backwards indicated whether or not it was in first or second gear here. So this is like, that's first gear, high torque. And then pushing it forward is second gear, low torque, but high speed. Give me a sec. We're gonna see if I can pop that open here. So put that over here. Actually, let's chuck these down in the cleaner and see if they get cleaned up or not. The problem with having it covered in thinset or whatever is the only good way that I know to get that off is whacking it with a hammer or using an acid. And I don't want to throw acid on this because I don't think that's going to be good for it. Is there any motion here, any movement at all? Yeah, there is. I don't want to ding that up too much though. So this housing has shifted a little bit. These pins are alignment. This is definitely the wrong tool, but I don't really have a lot of tools for doing this kind of thing. If we can get a little bit of a wedge in there, let's see if there's an answer to the question. Oh, there we go. A little bit of grime there on the side. It's popping out kind of like, it feels kind of like a pressed bearing, but maybe a little bit less torque, less friction, especially now with all that WD-40 in there. Okay. All right, so don't want the gears to pop out weirdly, but they did. So yeah, it's a transmission. Fantastic, fun stuff. Let's see how we did. Planetary gearing, transmission style. That on the inside looks like it should have been grease, but it's mostly just dirt and WD-40 now. So more to the point, none of these gears are worn. They all seem to be pretty good. There's no uneven wear on them, so that's good. And hold up, make sure I'm doing this right. This slots down into there, and then this drops in over top. Oh, shoot. Of course, there's extra gears in here. Right, two-stage, should have known. Okay, so I'm going to clean all this off. So there's 1, 2. I'm not sure where that one came from, to be honest. There are 2 stages on the inside. This one dropped out the middle. So there are 5 gears. Oh, got it. Okay, so 5. Yeah, 5 gears. There's no extra pins on them that I can see. And then there's this extra like linkage on the inside. Don't know if that's going to come out of its own accord, if there's a pin in there or not. Hopefully not. It is running smooth on something though. So that's rocking. If I had to hazard a guess, there's probably a pin on the side that's acting as a bearing point for it. And that when it's all lined up, it can run smooth. That'd be my guess. Yeah, because the one on the outside is solid. So this one's not. I don't know what that's all about. Let me get this back together. That'll be the trick. But either way, it wasn't working. So even if I don't get it back together, I'm still okay. I mean, it was working, but I mean, you know, not for what I needed it for, which was as a drill. I don't need another low speed, high torque thing. I'm just cleaning off the grit right now. There's going to be a lot of grit on this one, I think. Okay, so for now, I'm going to leave this to the side because that's actually pretty clean. We'll get it cleaned off in even more in just a bit. But this, don't worry, I will grease everything again. I want to see what's grease and what's grime. And this looks like it's mostly just dirt. So mostly just dirt. Let's get it cleaned out as best I can. Okay. Nobody's going to be stealing my tools, that's for sure. Not worth anything on the open market, I'll tell you that. So if you ever break into my house or my garage, just know you're in for a pile of projects, not things you can sell online. If you want to take them and clean them up and bring them back after you're done, I'd appreciate it. Just kidding. Don't take my stuff. Don't touch my boats. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of just looks like thinset, maybe coloring wise, that looks maybe a bit more like self-leveling mix. Yeah, something like that. But these are loose gears on top, and I want to make sure I don't misstep and stick them somewhere in the garage because I will lose them. There, okay, so it's set in. I can hear some grit in it still, so that's obviously not great. But it's spinning pretty well. Okay, so if that spins like that, then the torque issue that I was having where it was like not going in, it was running, or it sounded like it was grinding the gears, I think probably isn't in this mechanism, isn't the issue. The problem was in how that housing was being shifted, or how the gearing was being shifted, that inner gear. I'm not really sure. I need to figure out how this button does anything. Because it should be like shifting out away from whatever this is, runs your gear at a certain rate, probably this rate, and then shifting in at a different gear steps it up so it's running twice as fast. But I don't want to break this open, because once I get past this point, we're talking about like lots more stuff, potentially a lot more failure points for me as a person to mess it up. And like I said, it's a little bit of grime, but not terrible. I think what I'm going to do now is run some like grease in there, so it's nice and greased. And then I'm going to work on the rest of this, get that cleaned up and get the grime off of it, and figure out how that moves in and out so that I can inform my... Oh, shoot. Come on. Don't do that. I should have known. All right. Well, I still need to clean this off anyways. We'll get all these up here. I'm running short on that WD-40 can. My last can of WD-40 for a while. It's low on pressure because it's cold. Yeah, I don't have any extra in that. I mean, I can hear it, but it's not. It's too cold in here for this. Performing poorly. All right. Clean it off. Just a little bit more. Not perfect, but again, I don't think that was the issue. Now, this thing is where the switch is for switching that from high to low. And so my guess is this spins, if it spins because it's grimy, that spins, and then when it switches to low, when we pull it back, it doesn't set, it goes into a different spot maybe. It shifts that gearing ring forward and backwards. Okay, so hang on. Let me see if that correlates as I move it forward and backwards on the inside. Yeah. Okay, so the switch pulls this bar, and there's some give to it, so you're not gonna like overdo it if you're not lined up properly. And that bar pulls this inner ring, the one that's closer to the front, back and forth. And it sounds like on the inside, to me, sounds like there's some grime in there. So it was possibly getting stuck, like right now, getting stuck trying to shift it back. So I need to clean this housing off, get the grime or if there's sand or stones or anything in there, like there's a lot of grime in there, get that out and then reassemble it. And I think we should be golden. Even though it looks crappy, this should make it work. So I'm gonna use the electronics cleaner on this, even though it's not the right stuff because I'm running on a WD-40. And then I'll grease these up. Not sure what's in this electronics cleaner, but it kind of smells like a cut version of starter fluid. So we'll clear out this grime here in the switch too. Let me get a bit of cut nail here I might be able to use. Square nails. I'll see if I can get that out. Really loosen it up a little bit so that I can flow some cleaner in there. Yeah, maybe. Ooh, that popped out. Some grime. You can see some grime up underneath there. I need a better tool for clearing that. The problem is I'm in the process right now of clearing my garage out and like fixing it up and making it more organized. And in the process of doing that, I have everything in boxes now, which means really the only tools I have out are the ones I was using for like assembly. And then this drill, and there's a couple other ones that I found in a box full of tools that I needed to fix. I thought, gosh, it would be really nice to have. So we're going to fix it. And didn't realize how grimy it had gotten. Yeah. Seems like it's going in and out. All right, I'm going to call it good on that. I don't want to waste a whole bunch of time on this. I think I'm already at 30 minutes or so. So let's get the wheels cleaned off, the gears cleaned off and reassembled and grease the heck out of it and see if we can get it to run again. Careful. There's these little tiny micro gears. You can see those or not. We're going to get those cleaned up here. Hang on. Don't lose those on the floor here. Never find them. Or they go down a crack or something. Just using my thumb to kind of go in between each one of those gears. Tines. And get it down to, it looks like on the thing. There's silicone on the inside and then they got little rollers on them. But they're not too grimy. We're going to go ahead and roll them on there. Again, that one's got a little bit of grime we're going to clean off. Again, I'm going to throw some lithium grease on this. It should be okay. So assembling those little bearings. Gosh, I'm glad I saw those. Okay, and then on the inside of, or on the outside of the bearing rather, we have these. Now, looking at the gear, it appears to be symmetrical, so should be good to put it on no matter which direction. Same deal. Put it on. Same deal. Okay. Same deal. Okay. There we go. Okay. All 5 of those are now on. And this gear mechanism was the one that intersected like this way. Oh, shoot. I lose that bearing, I'm screwed. So give me a sec. Too much going on here. Not there. Shoot. Is it in this thing still? It's not. So I just misplaced one of those little micro bearings. I don't know. Now that I know I'm looking for it, I don't want to move anything too much. So I'll really lose it. Oh, it might have gone down in here. Dang it. Make sure it's not stuck to one of these rags. Super small. If it falls on the floor, I didn't hear anything hit the floor, so we should be okay. Okay, hold up. Hold up, wait a minute. Oh, no, there it is. It's on the inside of the, fell inside here. That was scary. Okay, so sitting on the bearing, sitting on the thing, like that. This housing then goes in like this, I think was how it worked earlier. Here, there we go. Okay, so that's where the motor for the actual drive motor intersects with that first stage. And now we're safe to flip it over. Okay. Okay. This one doesn't have any of those little micro bearings on it. All right. This mechanism. So drops in there like so. Yeah, you can hear grinding it up a little bit there. That should be okay. We're gonna throw some grease on it together. Let me go get the grease though. Hey, same here. Okie. Now we're gonna go ahead and run these. Actually, probably do it like this. And these here. Again, these don't seem to have a front to back. They're just the same on both sides. Which makes sense from an assembly standpoint. Just to double check that. Yep, they look identical. Okay, cool beans. Now, I don't want to make this fall apart on me. I'm gonna slot it in like this. I think that's how it went together. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Nice. Doing the, I don't know how much of that's necessary, but it is what it is. Okay, cool. Now I got to get this to slot into the original housing, and which means the switch will align with that, and this is the appropriate alignment. And here we go. We're going to try to create, we'll slot these together where those pins are. Oh, I just tapped it with the end of my screwdriver because that's, you know, always a hammer. And these pins came out like an alignment pin went through. The screw or the gearing obviously lines up. I don't remember if these pins were out like this before. Maybe they were. Yeah, because they got to line up to the back. So this works. Just, you know, whack it. Okay, so now this is back together. And we'll see if that works. I don't know. But, you know, it's hard to get a grip on it at the moment. There we go. So the switches work. You know, change it from a hammer drill to a drill bit. And the clutching set works. Right. So this section right here, everything else seems to be okay. It's hard to switch, but it might just be the position. And let's just get a little bit of this extra grime off. Popped it forward. Give it a whack back. Popped it forward. Clean that off a little bit. Give it a whack back. There we go. That. And now we should be able to kick this up underneath and line it up with that button better, or easier rather. There we go. That's lined up. So now that's good to go. We're going to go ahead and just slot it back in, I think. Hopefully it lines up with the gears on the inside of the motor. And if it doesn't, we're going to give it a couple whacks. There we go. Nice. Let's get these back in place then. See if we fixed it. It's not going to be cleaned up, but it'll be working, and that's... So there's an adage, I don't know if it's an old adage or not, but during the pandemic, I was working with a guy down the street doing some brick pointing and repointing on an apartment complex. And he was using a grinder to do the grinding out the loose mortar. And it was making all sorts of dust. It was crazy. But the grinder that he was using was this cheap piece of junk he had just bought at the store for something like 30 or 40 bucks. And I asked him why he wasn't using his normal grinder, which was I think he's a DeWalt guy. I can't remember. It might have been Milwaukee. And he was like, well, John, you don't use the things you can't afford to lose. So I'm like, so basically all of your fancy tools out there, you're only using when you're doing clean jobs. You're only using them when you're doing things that are not like wear and tear jobs. So anytime I see somebody with like a full set of Milwaukee and they're in pristine condition, I know one of two things. Either A, they don't do a lot of work with them, or B, they take fantastic care of them, like the guy who oils his gun every single day, right? And that's great, but you know, that adds an hour or so to your workload every day. So my suggestion is buy cheap stuff off of eBay or at a pawn shop or wherever you can get it for more than 50% off, and use that instead. If you need to get a name brand just so your buddies will respect you, then you need new buddies. Work stands for itself, I think. But in this case, let's see how this thing fared, because if this works, then that's great. I can get cheap tools, even if they look beat, as long as they work. I don't care. Okay. Hey. So there it is. It's put back together again. Step it into stage one rather. Let's see if I didn't screw up the gearing entirely. Whew. Pushing dirt in my face. Cool. So stage one works. Let's stick something on it here. You know what? Here, we'll just do it like this. Tighten it down and hold on to it. Yeah, it's got some torque. All right, now let's roll to stage two, which was not functioning at all last time, and see if I've broken it further. Nah, there it is. Now let's see if it holds torque. Oh yeah, for sure. So even though it's gross and beat looking and covered in cement, mortar, and everything else, this piece of machinery is now functional yet again. Thanks for watching. If you want me to clean it up, this is not that channel. Hey, thanks Flex for making it something where we can take it apart and put it back together again without too much trouble, because clearly it's going to get grimy again, especially in my employ. And it's good to know that as long as the battery works and as long as that motor up there works, we should be good to go. Let me know if I can throw grease or something on that to keep it rolling, but brushless is far better than running brushes. So this is great.